Hello and welcome to the Narc Alert, the channel where we look at YouTubers and others to see if they demonstrate any traits that fall within the spectrum of narcissistic personality disorder or NPD. These videos are for fun and entertainment purposes only, strictly my opinion, and remember, please don't send any snark to our possible narcs. So key points to remember: messy fun and not a diagnosis. Hello my lovely alerts and welcome back to the Narc Alert. In tonight's Narc Alert we're going to take a look at Michael Alig, the party monster. It was the late 80s in New York City. The scene was the club kids, and it was led by party promoter Michael Alig.
Love your haircut. I mean, it's just sensational. Well, low maintenance. I see that. It's great.
I don't know. I guess they're jealous because I'm having a lot of fun and they're not.
Michael and the kids wore crazy costumes. They tried hard to shock people, and they threw outrageous parties. Kyle was described as part drag, part clown, part infantilism. But the clown at the center of it all was Michael Alig. Michael had dropped out of school and began working at the club Danceteria as a busboy. While working as a busboy, he constantly studied the nightclub business, and he soon talked his way into becoming a party promoter. Michael's parties were notorious. They were big, they were loud, they were colorful and outrageous, just like Michael. Michael had to be the most outrageous, had to do the most outrageous things. He would often stage impromptu parties at local restaurants who had no idea 700 club kids were going to show up.
Does the Burger King want honor the coupons or what?
Yeah, the Burger King won't know.
No, we don't want to crowd.
No. The other way.
You crazy? Hello?
Hey.
Do not try it. Do not try it.
Hey. Michael, I thought it was at Burger King.
No, we said we got the Burger King would let us do it.
Oh.
So here we are. Because we're all so fabulous. The manager wants to throw us out.
Well, can you blame him? Look, somebody broke. Oh, that's not broken. It just looked broken.
You just told me that that 200 people were going to come. You didn't say that they were going to be dressed like this.
Oh my God, did he say that?
Yeah. And he said, what does that have to do with anything?
But he's glad they came, isn't he?
We give $1,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, goddamn, what are they complaining about?
As the parties grew, so did the crowd and the drug use. Specifically, Special K, ecstasy, heroin, and cocaine. The kids' outrageous behavior was not going unnoticed by the media, and articles appeared about them in Newsweek, People, and Time. They made appearances on The Donahue Show, The Joan Rivers Show, and at least 3 times on The Geraldo Show.
Coming to. All right, come on. Here we come. Let's go. Yeah, find your seats, please. Here we go. Come on. Club kids, here we are. All right. As the friends and associates find their seats here in our studio at the Broadcast Center. As a ringleader, I guess you call him the ringleader of the club kids, Michael Alig has been on and in the scene for over 10 years. He's the only club kid veteran from our previous reports on this topic. Now, Michael Alig's style has changed every time he's been here. His current look, if you look closely, is sort of, what do you call that, accident victim drug addict. He proudly wears at other times phony neck braces, fake black eyes, made-up open sores, and hypodermic marks on his arms. Now, why, Michael? What's this new look all about?
I guess I'm bored. I don't know.
I love the bruises. The bruises have a nice touch.
They look real?
Yes, they do.
Michael's drug use was growing out of control. He was arrested several times for drug offenses and finally entered rehab. Rehab did nothing for him, and he continued to use drugs. In '95, he was fired by Peter Gatien, his boss at the Limelight. Andre Angel Melendez was one of the regular club kids, although it is largely reported that he was not really part of the A-list. His presence was tolerated because he was a drug dealer. He made the circuit of the clubs at night and sold drugs at the most popular nightclubs. The limelight was closed by the FBI, and an investigation found that Peter Gatien, the owner, was allowing drugs to be sold. Angel Melendez was immediately fired. It was then that he moved into Michael Alig's apartment. On March 17th, in 1996, Michael and Angel got into an argument. Their third roommate, Robert Fries, was in another room. The crime is described by Robert in his confession to the police. On a Sunday in March, I was at home in my bedroom with a friend. In the other bedroom, Michael Alig and Angel Melendez were loudly arguing. I, at one point, heard a little crash, like glass breaking. Then I heard the argument progressing and getting louder. I opened the door to the room, and I started towards the other bedroom. I stopped just outside the bedroom door, at which point Michael was yelling, "Help me, get him off of me." Angel briefly turned and said, "Stay out." Then he grabbed Michael either by the shoulder or around the neck, and he started shaking him violently and banging him against the wall. He was yelling, "You better get my money or I'll break your neck," or something to that effect. I remember Michael looked right at me with sort of a pleading look in his eyes. I grabbed a hammer, which was in the closet directly to my left. I stepped forward and hit Angel over the head, trying to get him off Michael and maybe knock him unconscious. I was in a panic, and I was very concerned at the level of anger Angel was displaying. After the first blow, he turned and he grabbed for the hammer. He might have gotten his hands on it, I'm not sure, but I snatched it back and I hit him in the head again. He started to go down, but he was still pissed off, and he started going for Michael again. So I hit him a third time and he went down. At this point, Michael got onto his chest and was strangling him with his hands. I yelled, "What are you doing?" Michael seemed to be very angry at this point and was cursing at Angel. He then took a pillow and put it over Angel's face. I made him stop by either telling him to stop or pushing him off Angel. I then walked into the living room and possibly to the bedroom. When I returned, Michael was beside the body again. I noticed a broken syringe on the floor by the body, and Michael was pouring something from the bathroom, some cleaner or chemical, into Angel's mouth. I again screamed, "What are you doing? What is your problem? He's out." He then started wrapping tape around his mouth. He asked for the duct tape from the closet and said, "You have to help me." So I helped him finish wrapping the tape around Angel's mouth. Then I left the room. When I came back, Angel was undressed down to his underwear, a pair of white Fruit of the Loom type underwear. Michael said, "Help me put him into the tub." So we carried him into the tub and closed the bathroom door. About 5 or 7 days later, Michael and I decided we had to do something about this terrible mess. It was decided that I would go get knives or something to help dispose of the body. I went to Macy's and I bought 3 large knives, 2 chef knives and 1 cleaver. When I got back, Michael told me if I gave him 10 bags of heroin, he would take care of this part. So I did, and he went into the bathroom alone and cut off both of Angel's legs. Then we put each leg into plastic bags and then a duffel bag, and separately carried them one at a time to the river and threw them in. Probably about the next day, I went downstairs to the storage area and got a large box. I cut the UPS code off the box. I brought it up to the apartment. Michael put the remainder of the body into a large plastic garbage bag. I got another bag and put it over the first one. I think before Michael put it in the first bag, he wrapped it in a sheet. After the second bag, I think I taped it closed. We then put the whole bundle into the large box. The smell was so unbearable that I put baking soda in to absorb, hopefully, some of the odor. I also stuck a broom handle into the box for support because the sheer weight was making the box collapse. A few hours later, we took the box into the elevator and out through the main lobby into a yellow cab that happened to be right by the front door. The driver helped to tie the trunk down and we took the body to the West Side Highway around 25th Street. The taxi drove off, and we threw the box into the river. This statement was written by me, Robert Riggs, of my own free will. My Miranda rights were also read to me at this location. For weeks after Angel Melendez disappeared, Michael told pretty much anyone who would listen that he and Freeze had killed Angel. They were flippant about it, they joked about it, and most people did not believe him and thought his confession was just another ploy for attention.
I'm an easy target because I was with him the day before he was gone. And that I know that I have my own ideas. He was a copycat. He was one of those copycats that we hate, and so we killed him. I killed Angel, and that's the kind of thing that gets me in trouble.
Shortly before his arrest, Michael sent out party invitations, joking about the murder, and that turned many people against him. People were starting to talk, and in April 1996, an article in the Village Voice reported rumors of Michael's involvement in the murder. The following day, the New York Post ran an article about the murder, and over the coming weeks, the Village Voice continued to make reports. The police were focused on Peter Gatien and had not questioned Michael Alig about the murder. It had been several months since Angel was murdered and disposed of, and many people feared that Michael was going to get away with killing him. That was until a group of children playing in the water pulled up a box containing a legless torso. In November 1996, the body was identified as Andre Angel Melendez. Michael Alig fled the city, but was found in a motel room in New Jersey. He was arrested, as was Riggs, and shortly after the arrest, Riggs gave his full confession. Alig claimed he killed Melendez in self-defense. Prosecutors were hesitant to charge him with first-degree murder, as they were hoping he would testify against his former boss, Peter Gatien, who had been arrested for allowing drugs to be sold in all of his nightclubs. Both Alig and Riggs eventually reached a plea deal and a sentence of 10 to 20 years for manslaughter. While in prison, Michael was transferred from prison to prison. He spent a great deal of time in solitary confinement after being caught using heroin. His first parole hearing was in 2006. It was denied, reportedly after parole officers watched the film Party Monster, a fictional account of Michael's life starring Macaulay Culkin. He failed many drug tests in 2008 and was denied parole again. He quit using drugs in 2009 and was finally paroled in 2014. He came bouncing out of the prison doors to meet a few of his friends who began filming a documentary of his release.
So, prison memories. A lot of our viewers send in questions about prison.
Yes. Yes. Oh. Yes, they do. And where are they?
If only Michael could find them. And he spends hours rifling for questions.
Richie Fierce, I guess that's his real name, wants to know if we have any nightmares of being in prison, and is there anything we miss about it?
Well, I miss the fact that I don't have to work to survive. I mean, you get 3 square meals a day. The food was actually good where I was.
I missed that.
I wasn't where you were. I was in a really nice place. But the food was really good. And I made some really good friends. I miss a lot of my friends from there. But I don't miss the isolation, because that's the thing, is that you're isolated.
Well, you weren't so much isolated because you were in a medium, weren't you?
Still in the middle of nowhere.
No, but I mean isolation like...
No, I was in a camp. So
yeah,
it was a really federal camp, which is nice. It's not, no matter what anybody says, it's not a country club. Don't get that. That's
Club
stupid.
Fed is
But
nice.
compared to what you were going through, it was all right. But of course, you killed somebody. I
Yeah.
didn't do anything. So there you go.
Yes.
I just associated with you.
Well, that...
A crime in itself.
Right.
Michael was the subject of a flurry of interviews after his release, and he expressed many desires, such as wanting to be in a reality show, writing his own memoirs. He and fellow club kid Ernie Glam even hosted a YouTube comedy talk show. In 2017, Michael was arrested for trespassing and smoking crystal meth outside of the Bronx Supreme Court. And on Christmas Eve in 2020, just before midnight, Michael was found dead by his ex-boyfriend. His mother confirmed his cause of death was an accidental overdose. The chief medical officer in New York verified that he died from acute intoxication from fentanyl, acetylfentanyl, heroin, and methamphetamines. Michael Alig was diagnosed with more than one personality disorder, the biggest one being histrionic personality disorder. But let's have a look at this interview and see if he shows us any signs of narcissism.
We were hoping that we would go to bed and wake up the next day and that it had been a dream. I mean, we were that scared, and it's hard to put yourself in this situation where you've done something like this that's so horrific that really the whole universe has changed. And like that.
He had killed his roomie in what he claims was self-defense, and still the overwhelming need to escape responsibility and pretend nothing happened, rather than call 911.
I don't know of any other story in modern day that has so many drama queens and so many attention whores. And so I can imagine that when the DA went around asking people, questions, there were people that just made up answers because they wanted to be involved in some way.
There is no doubt attention seekers, but only someone with traits of NPD would think people want to involve themselves with him and his murder for attention.
They're probably not used to so many people that want to be involved in something scandalous like this, because most people want to shy away from that kind of thing. But the kinds of people that are associated with this scene, they want to be in the paper, and they want to be, we wanted to be, we want to get attention. And it kind of didn't matter if it was negative or positive attention, just getting the attention.
Typically narcissistic, he ensures us that everyone in the scene was the same as he was, desperate for attention, good or bad.
And then, of course, when you make a Hollywood movie of it, so now you have a Hollywood version of an already hyped up version, and somewhere it turns into something completely else. There are a lot of people who just they see something on film, and because it's in a movie or documentary, they think it's got to be true.
Michael took great offense to the scene in the movie that shows him injecting Angel with Drano and insists he never did that. He has also commented that the movie was good.
There's a story that came out that said you injected his body with Drano. Is that true or false?
That one is false.
There's also rumors that Drano was dumped on his body. So.
That was true, among other things. Just whatever our drug-addled minds thought would cover up any scent, or we didn't know what we were doing. I mean, we were just kind of on autopilot and just making snap decisions, and none of them good, none of them right. But that's what happens when you're on drugs. You don't even realize that you're not making right, because you're on drugs. So, I'm not using drugs as an excuse or anything, because I was sober when I decided to take drugs. So, I have to take responsibility for everything that happens while I'm on them. On the other hand, you're not we weren't on our right minds, obviously. We were just making bad choice after bad choice after bad choice, and making the problem worse when we thought we were trying to make it better,
He is most definitely trying to avoid responsibility by saying he was on drugs. Millions of people do drugs. Most of them do not murder and dispose of their roomies.
Did you have a party in the apartment while Freeze was in?
No, we did not. Things like that upset me because they add an air of sinisterness and darkness to it's already a terrible situation, already a dark situation, but that specific thing changes the story from something that possibly could be forgivable in a certain, by certain people in a certain, to something that maybe isn't so forgivable, because it's now there's premeditation and there's malice and kind of, and so that bothers me. It insinuates an air of, just callousness and we don't care, and
There were many people in and out of the apartment while Angel was decomposing in the bathroom. They told guests the bathroom was off limits and said the smell was from the plumbing. There is nothing not sinister about this story.
The rumor is that after Angel had passed away, you had gone around telling people.
We did tell people. And it was a combination of things. It's a very complex thing that when you do something so horrific and monumental in a horrific way, and unfathomable, and just overwhelming.
I told people, because in a way I felt, and this is really selfish, but you know, drug addicts are selfish people. I told my friends in an awful way because I felt like I was like sharing the burden of responsibility now. Like it wasn't just me that had this awful secret, now my friends did too, and it was like a little bit of a weight off my shoulders.
Trying to involve others to take away the burden of responsibility sounds like a purely narcissistic tactic.
And then it turned into, when a lot of people knew about it, then it turned into something more like, well, let's tell everybody we did, because then people started questioning, did you do it? So then it was more like, well, let's say that we did it so they think we didn't do it, you know? So it was a little bit of everything, but one thing it wasn't was, we killed somebody and now you can't do anything about it. It wasn't that. And I think maybe some people think that it was. Nobody that knows us thinks that, but I think maybe people who don't know us might think that, and if they do, that's not true.
Oh, well, Michael, that's not narcissistic at all. Being more concerned about what people think about you than the fact that you murdered your roommate and dumped him in the river. Oh, our narcissists, at least they're consistent. Thank you again for joining me for another Narc Alert. Don't forget to click like if you like, and make sure you're subscribed. If you'd like to support the channel, we've got memberships, and if you'd like some darker, more narcissistic stories, please check out my Patreon. The links are in the description. Don't forget to join the Discord, and we'll see you tomorrow for an Amberlynn premiere. Until then, be kind and hasta luego.